That cold look another black woman gave you was not hate, it was armor. You know the moment. You catch her eye at a store, or in the parking lot, or the lobby at work. You do the thing your mama raised you to do. You smile. Maybe you say, hey, a small warmth offered for free. And she lets her face go flat, slides her eyes right past you like you're a wall. Something in your chest drops fast. Before you can even think about it, a whole story writes itself. She thinks she's better than me? She got a problem with me? Or, why are we like this? And that question is the one thing that crosses our minds. Why are some black women so mean to each other? Why is black women supporting black women so hard to find in the wild? I want to answer it honestly, but not the way you think. The answer is that it isn't true that black women are mean to each other in some special way. Many black women are just short with everybody, quick, guarded, but we feel it sharpest from one another because understanding is expected. You think sameness would mean safety. So when the coldness comes from the woman who looks like you, it lands somewhere deeper, and it's easy to conclude that it's a black woman thing. It isn't. It's a wound thing. If we wanted to give it a technical name, Dr. Joy DeGruy calls it post-traumatic slave syndrome. A multi-generational trauma response that gets passed down inside us long after the original wound. I simply call it a wound that was created purposefully. Now stay with me, because everybody stops there at the diagnosis. The internet is full of women saying, not all skinfolk is kinfolk, and calling it wisdom. But that's not wisdom. That's a woman deciding to keep her armor on forever and calling it peace. Let's talk about this armor. That flat face she gave you. Picture where it came from. Not her specifically. You don't know her. But you know the shape of it, because you've seen it time and time again. A little black girl learns early that the world has already decided something about her. She's read before she opens her mouth. Too loud, too much, too grown. Researchers at Georgetown have a name for that last one: adultification bias. The documented tendency to see black girls as less innocent and more adult than their white peers, which means less protection and more punishment at every stage of growing up. She's watched in stores, skipped in class, compared to a lighter cousin at the family barbecue. And yes, that's colorism working inside our own families, not just out in the world. Nobody hands her a single tool to build her own worth from the inside, because often the people raising her never got those tools either. And you can't pass down what you were never given. So she does the only thing a body knows how to do when it feels unwanted and unprotected. She builds a wall. She gets hard first, so nothing can get her soft. She decides she doesn't care before anyone gets the chance to prove she shouldn't have. That's the armor, a way to stay safe in a hard world. And scholars who study black women's psychology have a name for it too: the strong black woman narrative. The idea that black women are supposed to be unbreakable, self-sufficient, immune to pain. It sounds like a compliment. It isn't. It's a cage dressed up as a crown. And it teaches a woman to treat her own softness as a liability. But the armor isn't the whole story. There is something underneath it, quieter and older, and it's the real answer to your question. She was taught to distrust other women who look like her. We all were taught to mistrust each other, not by accident, by design. There is a program running underneath all of this, and it was built to do one job: to maintain division and isolation, because people who distrust each other never turn toward each other, and the people who won't turn toward each other Never organize meaningfully or change fundamentally. Sit with why that matters. A system that relies on our obedience cannot have us free. And the most dangerous kind of free is a group of people who realize they are innately empowered, who can determine their own worth, create their own joy, and build their own lives without waiting for permission. Those kind of people threaten order. They threaten the system. The system wants you to believe it's the outward things you cannot control. Workplace discrimination, police brutality, those are formidable. But it's the invisible mental programs that are not only insidious, they are the real mechanisms keeping us stagnant. So, the program doesn't come at black people from the outside with chains they can see and fight. It comes from the inside, training us to distrust our own reflection. It teaches one black woman that the other black woman is competition, a threat, and is somebody to size up before they ever look up at the actual thing keeping them both small. The system keeps us fighting each other, so we never look towards it. We've heard this before, and it's the real trick. Overt racism that you see, you can name and push against. The program you can't see because it wears our own voice and feels like our honest opinions of each other. It never once feels like something that was installed. And the cage you can't see is the only kind that really holds. So, the armor she's wearing and the story feeding it. Don't trust these women? Watch your back. Everybody's competition. Those are two different things. The wound built the armor. The program wrote the story. And a cold face in a store is the two of them working together exactly as designed. We all experience this in differing degrees, but that's why your warmth backfired. To a body in armor running that program, your open face doesn't read as warmth. It reads as a threat. Open hands look dangerous to someone trained to expect a fist. You walked up smiling, offering something soft, and her nervous system didn't go, "Oh, nice, a friend." It went, "What does she want? What's the catch? Get ready." Your kindness tripped the alarm. So she gave you the flat face, the look away, the armor snapping shut. She wasn't rejecting you. She was bracing. You just happened to be the warm thing that made her flinch. Resma Menachem spent a whole book on this, My Grandmother's Hands. He says trauma that never gets healed doesn't just live in your head, it settles into the body and gets passed down, hand to hand, generation to generation, until somebody stops and heals it on purpose. That cold face is old, older than her, a survival move handed down like a coat that never fit anybody it landed on. That's the work we do here, naming the thing under the behavior, so that so-called black people stop running the invisible program and start mastering self instead. That's how we beat the system that built it. If that just landed for you, subscribe. Every video digs into the program and does something about it. Now, I'm not going to tell you that armor is all bad. That would be a lie, and you'd feel the lie. That armor kept a lot of us alive, got us through school systems that weren't built for us, through workplaces that smiled to our face and moved different behind our back, through neighborhoods and homes where soft got you hurt. For a long time, the hard face was smart. It worked. Here's where it stops working. The same armor that guards her also seals her off. It keeps out the fist, sure, but it keeps out the hand too. It keeps out every warm thing that could have actually healed the wound the armor is guarding. So she stays safe and starves at the same time. And that is exactly what the system wants. Because a woman isolated in her armor never links up with the woman next to her. We end up doing the work of keeping each other small, so the system continues running like the perfect machine it is. That cold moment in the store, that little nothing exchange, it's two women in armor missing each other. She's braced. You get let down, you start reaching for your own armor to hand it right back, and that's how the cycle keeps breathing. Not because anybody hates anybody, because two people were taught to get hard first, and neither one was ever shown it was a setup. So, let me answer your question for real now. Why are some black women so mean to each other? Because we were wounded young, handed no tools to heal it, and then taught, deliberately, to aim the hurt at each other, instead of at the thing that caused it. The meanness isn't the sickness, it's the symptom, and that flat face you caught in the store is one of the times the invisible thing shows itself. The dysfunction surfaces, which means, for 1 second, you can actually see the system and the program working. But what you can see, you can also refuse to run. Here's what I want you to walk out of here with, and it's not, go fix that woman. She's grown. Her armor is hers to take off in her own time if she ever does. The next time you catch that flat face, I don't want you to read it as a verdict on black women anymore. It was never about her personally. It was fear she has worn so long, she doesn't even know that it's on. And a story that was handed down to her that she doesn't even know was handed down. When you see it that way, the whole thing loosens. She thinks she's better than me, stops writing itself, because you know now it was never really her thinking it. It was the thing that needs you two apart. So, you keep your warmth. You don't hand it over to her armor. Not because you're better than her, because one of you has to stay soft in this, or it just goes around the room forever. And every time one of us stays soft on purpose, the program loses a little of the grip it was counting on. And I know the hard part. When somebody hands you cold, everything in you wants to hand it right back. That's not weakness. That's the armor calling. But hear me on the discernment, because I'm not asking you to be a fool. If a woman is actually disrespecting you, that's real, and you read it, and you handle it intelligently. This isn't about ignoring what's real. It's about not strapping on a whole suit of armor over a look that was only ever fear, and a program doing its quiet job. Here's why it matters more than one encounter at a store. There is a girl coming up behind you right now, a little sister, a niece, a daughter. Some young woman at your job who watches how you move when you think nobody's looking. She is learning what a black woman does when another black woman goes cold. She's deciding right now whether to build armor of her own or whether there's another way, because she saw one in you. The women before us handed down survival without the language for the thing that was hunting them. They did the best they could with a coat that never fit. You're the first one in a long line who gets to consciously hand down something else. Not the armor, the awareness that there was ever a program at all. Because it always starts with the one. The whole is only ever made of individuals. So-called black people is made up of so-called black individuals. A community doesn't heal in a crowd. It heals one woman at a time, and then that one becomes the proof the next one needed. You be that proof. Not the whole world, just you, in your one store, keeping your face open when it would be easier to go flat. A thing that needs all of us divided gets beaten one refusal at a time. That's not small. That's where all of it begins. So the next time she gives you the flat face and slides her eyes past you, and your chest does that drop, I want you to think one thing before the old story starts. That's not hate. That's armor. And I don't have to put mine on. You just stay warm. That's the whole revolution. It fits in a look. If you enjoy self-mastery specifically catered to us, subscribe and watch the next video. It's on the screen now.